Hey everyone, Stephen Glicker here from Roll for Combat, and I have a good friend of the show, Professor DM from Dungeon Craft. Welcome, Professor.
Hey, thanks for having me, Stephen.
Sure. What is your take on all of this from the 10,000 foot view?
Foot view is that everyone should be cool. However, it's not good. I just released a video today where I talked about the tariffs, which you mentioned on your show last week. You got a 7% book tariff, which is not good for role playing games because they are books. And also, there would be a tariff on game components, miniature figures, dice. So when you support a Kickstarter, and I'm all about independent Kickstarters because I love independent games, the things that make them really cool are the things like those dice and the game master screen and stuff like that. All the doodads that come with it. That's what elevates that Kickstarter and gets everybody hyped and psyched. And those would have a 54% tariff. So I am concerned that the Kickstarter is coming in because they're boats coming in from China with that Kickstarter stuff. And if you don't pay the tariff, it's going to be destroyed. And if the person running that Kickstarter does not have extra money, if the margins are that slim, you could end up with some Kickstarters not fulfilled. And I am concerned about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually the issue. So there was a thing, is that games were taxed at a 0% tariff. What happened is that a lot of Kickstarters, what they would do is they would put stuff and tchotchkes, inside of a box set, and then they would come in as a game, and then they would get no tariff. So the sort of good news is that books are immune to the executive orders. So they have a 7.5% tariffs. They're not affected by the 54% tariff at all. So you can recategorize your products as books because they are books. They can be books and games. So that's one of the things. So books themselves aren't the end of the world, but it's just books. So all those box sets and anything, if you're bringing out a box set, it's going to be categorized as a game. If you're bringing in dice, if you're bringing in minis, if you're bringing in cardboard, I mean, it's all going to be a game. And people don't seem to understand a 54% increase. Like, I see people saying, well, just eat it, or why does it have to increase in price? Or like, well, your cost is only going from $10 to $16. It's only $6. What's the big deal? But they don't seem to get is that our entire economy has been built on this structure. And I mean, everything has been built on what's called 5x, is that whatever it costs, you multiply by 5 or 6, and that's the MSRP. That's the price it's sold at. So if I have a product that costs me $10, because there's so many people in between me and it going to retail and everyone gets a cut, it has to sell for $50 because the store has to get money, the distributor has to get money, the warehouse has to get money, everyone has to get money. So if it goes from $10 to $16, I have to raise my price for that $50 product to like $80 now because that's the way. And yes, the strange thing is that the people in the middle, the distributors, they're fine. They just get their cut. But the retailers, yes, they'll make more, but do you really think they're going to sell more products at these higher prices when everything's going up? Probably not. And I, as the creator of the TTRPG, I have to put up all that money up front. So I have to put tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars up front before I make a single sale. So I now have a bill as soon as it comes into the warehouse. Like if I just bought $100,000 worth of product, a box set, and I was expecting a bill of zero, and now it's coming into the warehouse in 2 weeks, and I'm going to get a bill for $54,000 that has to be paid immediately. There's no, oh, wait 30 days. No, you have to pay it right away. And if you don't pay within a few weeks, your products get destroyed. Imagine you have 4 boats coming over. Like, you could go out of business. I mean, it's just like you might not be able to sustain yourself because these companies really have just enough profit and just enough money in the bank to keep going. They don't have enough to take these massive hits out of nowhere. So it's going to get bad. It's going to get really, really bad very quickly.
Today, in my recent video, I said that Hasbro actually probably is better positioned to weather the storm, according to some analysts, because they have actually a little less exposure to East Asia. And Magic cards, I believe, are made in the United States. Plus, they're going in a more digital direction.
Toys are actually a lot more. I was just reading the opposite. Is the toys are in trouble because almost all toys in this country are made in China, but they're also made in Vietnam, and that's the big issue. Is that okay? China got hit by a tariff, but Vietnam got hit by a bigger tariff, and a lot of these companies were printing in other countries to avoid getting hit with a China tariff. And they were printing in Vietnam and Thailand, Cambodia, India, a lot in India, because they thought, well, okay, if you know, and they did that to hedge their bets. And here's the crazy part: it actually costs more to make their products in those countries, but it's a way to hedge their bets. So if one country is hit with the tariff, they're okay because then they can move and distribute their products. And also, by the way, I won't get into all the details. Large big box stores like Target and Walmart and Costco, they actually are requiring companies to manufacture in multiple countries because of what happened during the pandemic. They actually have to. So now they were all tariffed. So everything's coming in, everything's getting tariffed. There's no way around it. I think Hasbro is okay, but trust me, they're freaking out because everything they're making, if it's not made in the United States and they didn't already price in, it's going to get tariffed. And the margins, I mean, you could look at the reports, the quarterly reports, their margins are very, very thin on toys. They can't hit 50, they can't absorb a 50 to 60 to 70% hit. It's impossible. They would rather just destroy the toys or just let them not even come in country because it's literally going to cost them money to sell these toys than to actually bring them in.
Yeah, I think that's where it's going. I think that Hasbro is, I agree with Jeffries, said it's in a better position than Mattel because of their digital pivot.
Yes.
And things like downloadable apps like Monopoly Go and the upcoming Dungeons and Dragons Go, which has not been announced, but I'm sure it's coming. Yeah. Like I can't be the only one to think of that.
No.
Then those kind of digital downloadable games, they will be the way of the future. If there are no toys, I mean, there were toys before we imported them, right? Mm-hmm. They were wooden toys made, your local carpenter was making toys. Mm-hmm. I guess, we might go back there, or kids are not playing with action figures much anyway today. So, there'll be less Play-Doh and less G.I. Joes. Bigger companies are better positioned always to deal with these things. So everyone gets crushed equally, but the larger companies have more pricing power.
Well, also what they were doing, if you saw the amount of imports last quarter, they were expecting this, and the amount of imports were massive. They were front-loading. So what these companies were doing is they were expecting tariffs. So they brought in huge amounts of as much as they could ahead of time to warehouse. And that will be able to last them for a while, but it won't last them forever. So they can actually weather the storm better, and they could actually keep their prices in check because they're only going through their inventory, not new products. But eventually they're going to have to start bringing in products, and they can only do that for so long before they really have to start raising prices.
And what I was going to say with the in my video, I mentioned the statement from Steve Jackson Games, because many people ask, well, why don't we just make them here in America? And the answer is America does not have the manufacturing infrastructure in place at this time to be able to do that.
Well, not only that, here's the actually bigger issue. Everyone assumes that it's cheaper to do it in America. It's not. That's like, it's still cheaper to do it overseas that for many products than it will be to do it here in America. So even if you say, okay, let's make the games in America, okay, well, they're not going to be cheaper. It's not going to be, the average salary of some countries, people can get some of these countries, I think it was like Madagascar, they live on $700 a year, not a month, not a week, a year. So the amount, some of these countries of what the standard of living is so much lower that it's not that they're even slave labor. It's just that the standard of living in these countries is very low. And it's not a bad thing. That's just how these countries are. So we can have these products. It's actually cheaper for us to make these products in other countries, pay them living wages for their countries, have the product shipped here from halfway around the world, and warehouse it and then truck it and ship it to your house. And it's still way, way cheaper than making it down the street. And that's just that way economics work. And that's a real issue, is that everything can't be just made here because a lot of products don't exist here. Like, you can't just make vanilla here. Vanilla comes from Madagascar. You can't make saffron here, okay? Saffron only exists pretty much in one place in the earth. Rare earth metals, which is pretty much powering the entire world right now, they all come from China. Like, there's a lot of things you can't just make here. They don't exist here. A lot of fruits, a lot of vegetables, fish, like most species of fish, don't just exist here in the United States. You have to get them overseas. And we literally have a worldwide economy. So, yes, some things can be brought here, like in the world of gaming maybe, but there's hundreds, thousands, millions of products that simply can't be created here and never will be because they just don't exist in this part of the world and never will. So
the smaller games, because I'm looking on your shelf and you got cool games like Cyborg and Shadow Dark and Pirate Borg, and for a Kickstarter like that, moving forward, let's say hypothetically, I want to do a Kickstarter based on my Deathbringer game, and I would be forced to just charge more for the Kickstarter. I'd have to build that into the cost, right?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I was thinking about your Kickstarter, and I was thinking of a very good example is that I have here we go, Mothership, okay?
Exactly what I was thinking. By the way, great Kickstarter.
Great Kickstarter. This box set is fantastic, and I think it's $100. It's great. It's one of the best box sets I've ever seen. This box set is now going to be $200. Now, it's not the end of the world, but when everything goes up, by 70, 80, 90, 100%, you can't just start throwing, including food, including clothing, including everything. I mean, just pretty much everything. You can't just magically throw $200 on something like this. That was $100. So what they'll have to do is they'll have to stop. What I'm going to probably see happening, if you really know my future, this is my prediction. They're going to do things like just the books, okay? Because the books you can still bring in, and that's okay. Things like box sets, tchotchkes, plushies, minis, dice, they're not going to do them anymore. It's too expensive. Or they're going to raise the price. The other thing that's going to happen, and you want to talk about a hot take that everyone's going to, you want a controversial take? You ready?
Go ahead.
You ready?
It's your show.
But I'll tell you, right before this controversial take, listen to this very quick ad for the Kickstarter that's ending this week for me with my good friend Jack Packard from Red Letter Media, where he talks about Battlezoo Ancestries, Living Legends, which you can get right now at Kickstarter at rollforcombat.com.
No. There's nothing else to roleplay as in my tabletop games. I've been everything imaginable. A dwarf, a halfling, an elf, a sexy elf.
Hey, Jack.
What?
Jack.
What is it, Vampire Cop?
I know you're looking to put weird little monsters into your game. Well, look no further. Battlezoo Ancestries Living Legends has 14 unique ancestries for your Pathfinder 2e or D&D 5th edition games.
Radical!
Like Swarmblood, a creature made of hundreds of other little creatures. Gargoyles, where you can disguise as an ordinary statue, but also become a warrior of the night.
Look at them all. Angels, devils, sphinxes, evil eyes. I love them and I will die for them.
And if you really want to go full sicko mode, you can be a fusion and play as an ancestry that combines multiple characters in one, like a chimera, two-headed giant, or even a hydra. You could either share this character with other players or control it all by yourself.
I could have the power of both a low-level internet personality
And a low-budget, sexy horror action movie? Visit Kickstarter.rollforcombat.com
to get Battlezoo Ancestries Living Legends, which includes in-depth information about each creature's culture, society, and history. You also get hundreds of digital tokens and illustrations that work with any VTT. Go get your hands on all these little freaks today.
Hey, can I join you? Sure, we can be a chimera now.
No! People are not going to like this, but it's going to happen. So I've been looking at this. Where can you cut costs? And the number one place for TTRPG and games to cut costs is art. Okay? Art is incredibly expensive. It can cost, one book can cost $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 of art. I'm not talking about the black and white art. I'm talking about like this book, like My Elemental Storm. Monster books are insanely expensive. I mean, a book like this can cost $50,000 to $100,000. And people think they probably don't even believe me, because like, how's that possible? These books are incredibly expensive to make. Okay. They're just ridiculously expensive.
Great art, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's it, because we have art in there and we pay a lot for the art. However, I'm starting to see it. I'm not going to name names. If you have AI art has gotten significantly better, and if you take AI art that's cleaned up with a professional artist, it's almost impossible to tell the difference. And right now, a single piece of art can cost anywhere from $150 to $200 per piece of art. And multiply that by 100, 200 pieces of art in the book. And I'm not talking about spot art. See those little pictures around this this overlay cost over $1,000, okay? Believe it or not. I have this little overlay. You can't see it, Professor, but I have lots of little pieces of art. If you get professionals to do AI art and clean it up, $10, $20, $30 each. And if they're really good, you can't tell. And I it's going to happen. It's going to happen soon, because that's the only way they'll be able to stay in business and keep costs down, is that they have to cut something. And if they can't cut pricing, and they can't cut tariffs, and they can't raise the price, and they can't really get rid of writers, unfortunately, art is probably where the cuts are going to start happening. And it's going to probably start happening pretty fast.
Well, that's, I don't like the sound of that, but you're probably right. You've been right with these predictions. The only glimmer of hope is, I think, that this reminds me a lot of COVID, like this uncertainty. And I remember making a video on my Patreon. I do these, I call it the summer lecture series, right? And you're a Patreon, so I do it from my front porch, and I talk about the business of role-playing games. And back in COVID, I predicted, hey, this could be the end of conventions. We might never see another convention again. And I was thankfully wrong about that. So I'm just hoping that something that you cannot see or I cannot see will happen, that somehow it'll all work itself out.
I actually think I know where this might go. And where I live, everyone here, and I mean everyone, is in finance. And if I go to a party, I went to a party a few weeks ago, there was 50 guys there, 47 of them are in finance, 2 doctors and me. And that's it. Sorry, 1 doctor and like 2 lawyers and me. That's it. It's like everyone's in finance. And these guys aren't just low-level finance. Like, these guys are a hedge fund. They're really big. These guys are big bros. And absolutely zero of them thought there would be any tariffs. They thought it would never happen. And one of them, oh my God, I can't believe he actually said this. He said, if they tariff the world, if you want to guarantee a worldwide depression, that's what you do. Not recession, but depression. He goes, that's how you guarantee a worldwide depression. I won't go into it, but there's so many factors, because it messes us up and messes up the other countries. Then it messes up the interest rates, because then everything goes down, but then people buy T-bills. So now so they don't know what to do. If they bring up interest rates to fight inflation, but then it messes up treasuries, But then if they bring it down, then inflation will go skyrocket, and there's going to be inflation anyhow because they're going to have to print more money because everything's going to cost more. So it is just an absolute, as someone said, the worst of the worst case scenarios. My only hope is that there's a lot of division in the United States, but there's one thing that everyone seems to get affected by and sort of agrees upon in the United States, no matter what your religion or your affiliation with political parties or anything else, is money. And this is the one thing that seems to be affecting everyone. Rich, poor, doesn't matter. Everyone's losing money. Everyone's getting hit hard. And everyone's getting angry. And there's only one place to blame. This isn't some mystery. It's not some nebulous thing. It's not some, it was done years ago and there's nothing we can do about it. There's one very specific reason, and we all know why. And the better news is, and again, I'm not getting into politics, but Congress can fix this whenever they want. They have the power. It's actually in the Constitution. They can change this. They have the power of tariffs. They ceded it to the president, but if they go in and say, no, that's in fact why the 7.5% tariff on books works, because there's a law that Congress passed that makes it immune to executive action. So they can do the same thing. They can just say, no, we take this away. It's back in our power. And they tried. They're trying to put a bill through. So maybe, hopefully, they save us. But we'll see.
I have no idea.
I have no idea too, but I got to hope.
I have no idea what the game plan is. Probably the theory that I've heard the most is that it is an attempt to get the Fed to lower interest rates so we can restructure, refinance America's debt.
Correct.
Which it can't keep going. They can't spend 5% over the GDP every single year.
No.
The country is heading toward a financial cliff. So they've got to do something. I just hope it all works out. And in the meantime, well, I'm going to still be talking about games and buying games, and I am buying when securities are lower. I see it as I don't want to catch the falling knife, but there's only so far the knife can fall.
True.
It's not going to go backwards. Tech's not going to go backwards. No one's going to go and say, you know what, this iPhone, I'm not going to have it anymore. I'm not going to have a Google anymore. We're not going to have YouTube anymore. That's never going to happen. Technology is going to just move forward. That's my opinion.
Technology I'm not as worried about. And speaking of technology, yeah, I mean, over here, Roll for Combat, I went all in on digital. From the moment I started publishing, the first thing I did, I had digital products, PDFs, Foundry modules before physical books, because one of the nice things is you're pretty much immune to all of this if you're going digital. You can update your products quicker. You can change your pricing fast. You have complete and 100% control. We make updates instantly. If there's an errata, it's in the module. We don't have to wait. And that's the one thing that Hasbro, they were getting smart. They were going digital, and they should be able to weather the storm for a while. They're going to go heavier into digital. I mean, they always said they were. Of course, now them firing their whole VTT team, maybe that was premature. They might want to bring some of those guys back. Well, I don't think they're going to. They're still releasing products. I got an email from WotC basically saying, get your free sigil products here, like click. And I was like, really? You guys still promoting it? I'd love to know how many people are using it. The problem was, when you and I saw Sigil, and we saw it a year and a half ago, it looked pretty good.
I agree.
The problem is that's still the same version. They didn't. Yeah. I thought within a year and a half they would have really improved it and made it better, but they didn't really do anything with it. I was like, okay, that was good a year and a half ago as a demo product, but not as a release, not as something that is to be battle tested out in the public. It was not ready for prime time, and that's the big issue, is that they took it and they released it, and unfortunately, it's a mess. It's not done. So
yeah, Gen Con, we didn't go to that live D&D show, and it turns out that
but you didn't.
Oh, you did to the live?
Oh, the live show. Oh, no, I went to the other show. Yeah.
Because I think that's where it unraveled.
Yes.
But I feel terrible for just everyone involved. Like,
I
it
know.
could have been really good.
No, the guys involved, I've been talking to them. They're really nice, great guys. Every one of them. And that's the disconnect. Is that everyone who I talk to at WotC, they're great. They're nice. They love gaming. They love playing games. They love D&D. They love Pathfinder. They love GURPS. These guys are core gamers.
Yeah.
And, these decisions are being made. They have nothing to do with them. They're just trying to do their job, I feel bad.
Me too.
Yeah. What do you think about Chris Perkins retiring, huh?
Well, I have my experience with Chris Perkins goes back to Dungeon Magazine, where I was writing for them. I was freelancing in the 90s, and Chris Perkins was my competition. And so I got a lot of rejection letters. I was published several times, but I got a lot of rejection letters, like every writer. And I would get my Dungeon Magazine every month because I subscribed, and I would open it up and I would like, hey, what did they take instead of me? And there he'd be, Chris Perkins. I'd be like, ah. But, in retrospect, his stuff was great. And he's fantastic. And he is the only survivor from the TSR days. TSR, Peter Atkinson, Wizards of the Coast, and now today. And I wish him the very best of luck. He's got a great legacy. He ended on a high note with that Dungeon Master's Guide, which I thought was very good. Of the new books, that's my favorite. And I wish him all the best of luck. And I'm sure he's going to do something in gaming.
I'm going to get in touch with him. I'll tell you that. I mean, I met him right when 4th edition came out. And I had a very long conversation with him about 4th edition. And at the time, John Statz, a good friend of mine, he was one of the leads on World of Warcraft, and we had a very long, very detailed discussion because he was as excited to meet John as we were as excited to meet him, because World of Warcraft was like, people don't understand how big World of Warcraft was.
I remember.
It was the world. It was take every video game today and take Grand Theft Auto 5, take Call of Duty, take Fortnite, take it all, everything, and combined, and that's World War. It was monstrous. And he and I and John and some of our friends, we were just talking about video games and D&D 4th edition and how much they're trying to make it like World of Warcraft. And I got it right there. I got witnesses. We were there. I had the conversation about it. It's like, and it wasn't a mistake because they had good ideas. I loved 4th edition. I know I'm like in the minority. I actually loved it. I thought it was great.
Matt Colville likes it. That's what Draw Steel.
I think if you read Draw Steel, it is 4th. It's an updated version of 4th edition. I'm actually pretty excited to play it. I was reading it. I was like, it looks like 4th edition. 4th edition was a fantastic game that should not have been Dungeons and Dragons. That's really the issue with it. Is that it didn't fit the D&D model, but as a game, it was great. So
yeah, the design language was too different.
Yes, exactly. Right. It didn't feel like D&D.
That's right.
But it was a great game. So
well, we'll see. If Draw Steel succeeds, then it was.
Anyhow, with that, where can we find you, Professor?
You can find me at Dungeon Craft. I just released a video today. Just about every Monday or Tuesday, I'm releasing a video. Sometimes more than once a week.
What conventions are you going to?
Going to be going to Gen Con, of course, in August, and Green Dragon Fest.
Oh.
Coming up in May.
You're going to
Very
Green
excited
Dragon
about
Fest?
that.
I didn't know you were
I am going. I'm going to be a guest game master there, and that is in Tennessee, Ancient Lore Village, and I'm very excited. That's America's answer to D&D in a castle, and I can't wait.
I might be going, but I'm going to be at PAX East with a booth right in the center. You won't be able to miss us. We're going to have a big booth. I'm going to have lots of prizes. You're going to be able to roll dice, spin wheels. You're going to get free prizes just by showing up at the booth, so check us out there. I'm going to have, I think, 2 booths at Gen Con. I don't know how I pulled that one off. I had 0, and then suddenly I got 2, so we'll figure that one out, and I'll be at Gen Con. And then, of course, be PAX Unplugged later this year, and then might be at a few others. but that's where you'll be able to find me. Otherwise, thanks for tuning in. Do like, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz, and I will talk to you guys later.